International business will never flourish without the rule of law. Let's begin today's lecture in Scotland, followed by a brief visit to Parliament in England. From there, we'll go to Australia, also settled by the British, and then Quebec, which was not originally settled by the British, but did come under British control. Lastly, we'll end in Hong Kong, which was British up until 1997. So, this is interesting here. The jolly judge in Edinburgh. No one under 18 in the bar at any time. Children over 5 are welcome in the courtyard until 10 p.m. That's due to Scottish law that does not allow them to allow minors in the restaurant. Can you believe that? No one under 18. Yeah, that's what we're seeing here at the Jolly Judge.
I'm just talking about all the horrible laws that were, even though this country's a rule of law, the fact that they, like the corn laws. You ever heard of them?
No.
No? How about the tax on tea?
Yeah.
All the laws that required them to import to England before going off from one colony to another. Ridiculous laws they had here. That's what I wanted to talk about, but nobody's giving me a chance to lecture.
Okay, what do you want to do about it? We'll do it right now.
You'd be amazed. Well, I'm recording right now, but well, I didn't really want to do it here. I wanted to do it over there. But you should have heard about the salt laws. It's really not easy to find a place to lecture here in New South Wales, the largest, most populous province of Australia. One of the things they celebrate is Australia Day. It's January 26th when the first fleet landed right here in Sydney Harbour. From that came the beginnings of the nation of Australia. It's important to understand not everybody wanted to see the British come. What they did bring, they brought laws and the concept of private property, and certainly there were people hurt by it, but ultimately grew a great nation. You know, what's interesting actually is that when we talk about French colonies, former French colonies, we often think about places like Haiti and the Ivory Coast or Vietnam. Those are all places where the French, they end up, they're sometimes called fourth world nations rather than third world nations because of the poverty that is there. But one of the former French colonies that is a first world nation is Quebec. So what makes Quebec such a success story for former French colonies? Well, there's a theory about that. They were taken over by the British, and I know the French would be offended by that, but unfortunately, bringing in the rules and governments of the British, allowing free enterprise, all those kinds of things led to a well-developed Quebec and Canada, rather than what we see in Haiti and African former colonies and Asian former colonies. So, Victoria Harbour, Hong Kong. This is where the British ships had to often act on their own because the length of time it took to get any information from Parliament to Victoria Harbour here in Hong Kong and then back to Parliament was months. So a lot of things happened here at the mouth of the Pearl River without British Parliament consent. They just had to act in the best interests. Part of the universal suffrage movement. That's what they're doing. Getting people to register to vote.